Do not trust the rally until we get these events.
I was down, but now I'm up. Yeah, this all God, this ain't no luck. Yeah.
I don't trust this market right now, and I just feel it in my gut. We have this Wizard of the Oz phenomenon happening right now, where everyone's being dazzled by these earnings reports, forgetting what led to the market sell-off to begin with, and how that market environment has literally not changed at all. Jerome Powell is the man behind the curtain, and he's telling you,
pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
Don't be worried about what's going on over here. And we have yet to resolve this, to see the final plunge in the market to bring what I think will be the actual bottom, and then I'll be down to get bullish. So while I'm looking at the S&P right now, I'm looking at this retracement. I'm seeing that we had multiple Fed cuts priced into the market. Right now we have one priced into the market. And we can see that we're starting to get this rebound. I was telling Discord members I was looking for 509 for a bounce here, a potential A, B, C to bring us back to the downside. However, actually getting to that 509 on Friday, I was exercising some caution because of the technicals on multiple charts were looking very strong, and I was thinking that we might even come up a little bit higher and test this trend line. A break above this trend line, which would probably be about 514, would actually be very bullish for me, and then I'd be willing to say that this low right here is probably actually your bottom. Okay, now I would say right now the likelihood isn't high, especially since what led to this sell-off is still in play for the market. There's lots of things going on, especially if you're looking at something like JPY USD. We can see that the Japanese currency is melting down, and this could cause some further issues in the bond market as well. So there's some macro things in our peripherals that are also taking effect. We also had a recent headline of First Republic Bank just collapsing, and that as well could cause some concerns in the market that, hey, if the Fed doesn't make a pivot soon, we could have some more collapses in the bank. Those issues could not be resolved yet. There's a lot going on. However, the market has not reacted to that news yet. I think if that news had come out Friday afternoon and instead had been during hours, the puts that I'm holding right now would have likely printed. And I was looking, by the way, to average into those after 509, but I just right now, heading into this week, I want to exercise a lot of patience. All right, really work out that muscle and get some reps in on just taking a pause here. We can also see that NVIDIA had a really strong rebound on Friday as well. And what I'm watching here is this parallel channel that's developed. Now, if you look at the technicals here, you have a pretty strong indication that a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 has actually completed. And I would expect maybe an ABC retracement to the downside. As you can see here in this parallel channel, this is massive. I mean, the bottom of this channel would bring you all the way down to 300. And even if we just use the Fibonacci's for what we might expect as a retracement, we could see something like 420. Now, the only thing that makes me pause and think that this might not be the completion of the fifth wave is one, the alignment with the first wave, which is 142 bars. And then if we actually do that again for the fifth wave, we can actually see that it's only 75 bars, meaning that this might not have finished its completion, and we might be going a bit higher. If we also look at your Fibonacci's for the for wave 3 as well, it actually puts you about 1500, and we're over the 0.236. So I'm thinking, okay, this could go a bit higher. And to be honest, I'm not really sure this is something I want to allocate money to. This weekly does not look hot. The daily, however, and the 4-hour are slowly improving for NVIDIA, and I would probably just want to play this short term. I know earnings is later this month, and you might have an opportunity for something like a straddle there, but overall, with everything going on, it's going to come down big to how does this earnings report play out for this stock. Now, if we look at another stock like Tesla, holy cow, the rebound off earnings is beautiful. I'm in the green on my shares, which is fantastic. And we've also been playing some calls here as well, made 155% into those earnings. We can see that the 1 hour is melting down some. I think what's going to be really key here is that we continue to see support hold around this 168 to 166. If we could continue to bounce off this EMA cloud here, I'm going to continue to be bullish here. And even if the market goes down lower, we could be in an environment looking at the daily here, about to fire to the upside. We could be in an environment where Tesla wants to start defying the market. We can see that the weekly is actually also starting to turn over, and maybe this will start to get more bullish for Tesla. I think there's a lot of great things going on here. I think the market had priced in worst of the worst, and then we ended up taking a step back after earnings and hearing Elon's commitment to robotics, the Optimus project, to the billion-dollar infrastructure for the AI, how great the new beta is for the self-driving. I mean, there's a lot of fantastic news here. It's really great for the robo-taxis. The economics there is amazing for those, by the way. Uber, if you're an Uber holder, holy cow, I would be shaking in my boots if I was an Uber holder. By the way, I hadn't even taken a look at this stock yet, which is melting down to the daily more. Let's see if we have some confirmation. We do have confirmation on the weekly as well. This stock is still sitting at like $8 billion. I think all that money pours into Tesla because I think there's going to be a lot of fears from holders here that Tesla and the robo-taxis are about to steal their lunch. And if you want to hear more about Tesla, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because I'll have YouTube shorts coming out, and I think every day for like the next 4 days on the stock. But overall, I want to emphasize patience this week. What happens in Monday, Tuesday won't really matter much. It's going to all be about how the market reacts to the Fed press conference on Wednesday. Remember, we just priced out a bunch of rate cuts. I'm hearing some people worried about rate hikes coming into the year because of inflation, because the market's been strong, although we did just have a surprise to the downside for GDP. So I don't really think there's a big push for the Fed to hike. In fact, I'm expecting political pressure to cause them to cut. I think that cut could lead to a sell-off, is probably the most likely outcome of that, because the market's going to be worried of why that's happening. But I think it'll be mostly political pressure. We also have a bunch of earnings coming out this week. Okay, so make sure that these are on your radar as well. These could be big catalysts for the upside. Amazon comes out, it kills it on Tuesday after the market closed. You might get a big rally and then a fake out to the downside, and the Fed crashes the market. Could have one more engulfing bearish print to the downside. But when we're looking at the technicals, there's a reason I use caution on Friday. I can't emphasize that enough. And I think you just need to have patience to see how the rest of this week is going to play out. It's going to serve you so well and probably prevent you from getting faked out on some of these moves. But right now, I think the best plan of action is to keep short term on a lot of these plays. Last week, I was starting to set up a little bit longer dated plays. I was looking like, oh, I could probably capture some time and catch some trends. And that ended up actually leading to a bit of a rough week. It was a green week, but it wasn't like the past 2 weeks where I had 88%, 90% win rate. That was a lot rougher week last week. I'm looking to not have another one of those. It's not very fun. So I think it would be very in and out, sticking to day trades, watching these key levels. If the market does want to look bullish, I'm looking at Meta here for a nice rebound. We had this perfect retracement down to the 0.618. I saw it as a great buying opportunity right there, and I'm looking to see if this maybe wants to come up maybe to the 470s and touch this 50-day moving average. For a rebound, I think over 446, you can start to get bullish there. I'm also looking at IBM after the really poor earnings for some downside. We can see that this is a pretty massive retracement for the stock, and you're coming back to some very key levels here. If you break down from here, we can hit all of these, and you can come in for some short-term opportunities here with, not the best liquidity, but it's still playable. Microsoft is another name that's really interesting. I actually bought some shares before the earnings. I was looking to buy more afterwards, kind of hoping for a dip after earnings. Instead, we got this huge move to the upside, but we saw it get faded, which is, more confirmation that we're in a still sell the rip environment. We can see that the 1 hour is looking very weak, but when I look at the daily here, I'm actually seeing signs of recovery, and we can clearly see here that we pretty much almost hit that retracement that I was looking at for the fourth wave. This could easily be the lows in for Microsoft, and the pain from SPY for the further downside could come from something like Nvidia, but we might see some of the other big tech names be more sturdy. That could happen. That could be something that plays out. The price action, it's just kind of all over the place during the earnings season. So we're just going to need some more confirmation before I can really be more confident about the calls I want to make. And I know no one likes that when, I come on here and I'm a little bit more uncertain, but just you'll save so much money and you'll make so much more money if you do wait for these confirmations. If you do exercise that patience pays so much. But if this does want to show some signs of recovery, we have very easy key levels that we could follow here. Even for just the downside, look for this 405 to hold there. You can see we barely stayed above those lows that we got on Friday, and if it continues to show another bounce here, then you can go over 4010, then maybe you could come in this upcoming week and start to play Microsoft to the upside and hunt for some new all-time highs. So given all that, I'll likely do a second weekly report this week on Wednesday after we hear from the Fed. So keep an eye out for that, and I'll talk to you more then.